this is Tarot with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and today I want to do a little hashtag video. It's hashtag Storytime Tarot, and this was put on by Two of Owls, and he is totally awesome. You should definitely check out his channel. So it's all about creating a story with your tarot cards. The deck that I would like to use for this video is the Native American Tarot deck. Okay, this was created by Magda Rec Gonzalez, illustrated by J.A. Gonzalez, and this was published by US Games. So I love this deck, and I think that it would be really good for creating a story. So there's only 4 questions, and the first question is, speak of a time that tarot was there for you in the best way. I would have to go back to my Fountain Tarot. I was struggling to connect with that deck. I mean, a lot of people love the deck. I even held off on buying it. I only bought it, you know, maybe not too long ago, maybe a couple of years ago or a year or so ago. And I just never, I was trying really hard to connect with it, but I was having a hard time connecting to the images and trying to get any sort of, you know, guidance or anything from it. So I had kind of put it off to the side. And one day I was doing spirit work, and I just so happened to have my Fountain Tarot nearby, and I was shuffling the cards, and you know, because sometimes you just like to sit around and, you know, shuffle, and this card popped out, and it was directly related to what I was getting as I was speaking to spirit. And so then I picked up the deck of cards, or I picked up that card and I started shuffling, and so then it was more like I was thinking of a question as I was talking to spirit, and I was asking them to elaborate. And you know, I would pull a card, and instead of reading it like a normal tarot card with the normal readings, or you know, what other guidance I would be getting from it, it was more like I was looking at the image, and the story within the image was what they were trying to get across to me. So I found that my Fountain Tarot was actually a spirit communication deck for me. You know, I don't know if anybody else has a deck that's, you know, mainly just used for that. So that's all I use that deck for. Yes, I can communicate with spirit without the use of a deck or tools. You know, it's like I am the tool. I just called myself a tool, by the way. You know, I am the, you know, the thing that you can use to communicate and try to translate that communication, but I like to sometimes use decks for that, and so now I have a deck for that. So that's kind of when tarot came through in the best way, a tarot deck. Maybe it wasn't used traditionally, but I definitely dug it. Okay, question number 2 is quite the opposite. Speak of a time when tarot was there for you in the worst way. And I would say this was kind of at near the beginning of my tarot journey, and I was trying to use the cards in a divination sense, where I was trying to predict things that would happen, and I hadn't quite had I didn't quite have a grasp on you know, freedom of choice, and you know, that there are an infinite number of possibilities due to the choices that we make every day. And so when you predict that something may happen, that may be one timeline, but that may not be the timeline that we end up on due to just the choices that we make. And so it's very hard to predict, you know, the future, whichever future that is that we create through our choices. And so my boyfriend has a shitbag little brother. Okay, like he's really not, I would say, not a decent human being. And he does some pretty awful things. And he did some pretty awful things to his parents, and especially his mother. Even at the time of her passing, he was not being a very good person. And so because what he does is highly illegal, and because he's a jerk, I was trying to use the cards to predict when the cops would show up to the house, and we were trying to get my boyfriend's dad, and this is so much drama, and why I'm putting this drama out on like all of the internet, dude. I'm trying to like keep certain details out of it. But we wanted to figure out kind of when the cops would come and haul his ass off to prison, you know, hopefully so he can go rot in a cell somewhere. You know, and then we didn't want his father to be there or have, you know, get arrested too, just for having been in the same house as this lowlife. So I was like, you know, predicting, okay, they're doing this and they're staking out the house, and it turns out, yes, they, you know, the house is being watched. It is under surveillance. His activities are being monitored, but they never came. And I was shocked because I had a date and everything, for sure they were gonna come. And when they didn't come, number one, I felt like an ass because I had like told everybody, oh yeah, I know for sure that they're gonna come. And then I felt like now nobody's ever gonna believe me when when I say that I know certain things, and I just like felt like such a an idiot. And I was like, why? How could I be wrong? Like, what's going on? And you know, of course, later on I learned that, you know, you can't like predict for sure things like that. And so that was just like a big lesson for me. So I guess, I mean, that was like a good thing, but you know, I just kind of saw it as like an embarrassing moment. You know, and we have a friend that is a former chief of police. He was like a lead investigator for San Diego, and he was just like, you know, one day, eventually, the cops will come breaking down the door and they will haul his ass off to prison forever. But they have so many other cases that are lined up before they finally get to his. So they said it could be a really long time before that happens, could even be years before they decide to take any action. And so they were like, you know, no amount of pendulums or tarot cards is ever going to figure out the day when that's going to happen. I guess you can guesstimate some days, but I was just like, man, kind of wish that was gonna happen. Question number 3, what kind of reader do I consider myself? A storyteller, motivational speaker, coach, lover, or a fraidy cat? So it's a reader in terms of reading for myself and a reading for others. I would say I'm a mixture between a coach and a storyteller. You know, coach because I physically am a coach. I'm a track and field coach, and that's kind of just in my personality, is to coach people, not to coddle people or say, you know, like tell a high jumper, oh no, that jump was really good, when really it looked like crap, because, you know, that child wants to, or that athlete, you know, wants to improve because they know when they're doing bad, and they know when they're not making the heights or they're not improving. And so you can coach them on, hey, if you just tweak this a little bit, do this, you know, you can improve. But you know, I would never say, oh, everything looks, you know, la-di-da, and you're, you know, everything's just, you know, unicorns and rainbows, and you know. So I like to coach people on how to improve their situation, how to improve their lives, how to improve their outlook, and their ways of thinking. Plus, I like to do that in a kind of like a story time manner, because again, I'm also like an English teacher too, so I'm all about books and story time. Question number 4, it says to pull a card and tell a story with it. So pull 3 cards. So like you have a card for the beginning, you have a card for the middle of your story, and you have a card for the end. You don't have to read it like a normal tarot card. You can just read like the image. So for example, let's say if you have this guy here with his dog, so one day a man was out walking with his dog, you know, you could say something like that. So let's tell a little story, shall we? So let's start our story. How do we want to start our story? Start that story. Okay, so here we have these guys. Looks like there's some sort of, well, it says victory down at the bottom. I'm trying to just see everything that's going on in the picture. There's some, I see a bunch of like peace pipes, and a lot of the Indians are like, woo! And then you see these guys that look like the cavalry, and they're just like laying defeated on the ground. Okay. One day, after the longest like multiple man wrestling match ever, a bunch of guys had won. Wow, that was like a really lame start to a story. So okay, so there's like this like mass like wrestling match going on, and it's like for a television show, and it's, you know, it's one of those like reality shows. And so the one side, team A, just won the like mass human wrestling match for kind of like one of those, again, for the reality show. Then let's put what happens then, oh hey Wally, go with this one. Oops, this one fell out. Then, okay, here we have a person on the horse and the mountains. Then the host of the show was like, what have I gotten myself into? Like, how the heck is this a sustainable program? We just have mass amounts of people wrestling on the ground, and one side wins, and this is like a really lame TV show. So like, he just like hightailed it out of there. He was like, peace, homies. Therefore, see how the story ends. It's the guy that we saw at the very beginning. Therefore, the host of the show then had time to contemplate when he was out walking with his dog, and he decided he was done with Hollywood. It was back to nature for this foe. So there you go. We started off with the reality TV show, the 1,000-man wrestling match. The host was like, peace out, this is a crappy TV show. It was back to nature for him and out of Hollywood. The end. I so enjoyed this tag. Thank you, Two of Owls, for creating this. So let me know what you thought of this video and this response. And if you would like to catch a reading with me, don't forget to click down below and check out my website and all my goodies on my Etsy page. And if you love this video, don't forget to give it an awesome thumb up. And don't forget to click subscribe, and I'll catch you spiritual homies later. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace out.